So the handover has finally happened. The Maharaja has a new Malik, and that Malik is the Tata Group. The Maharaja has reclaimed the throne it once sat on over 6 decades ago. The Tatas have taken control formally of Air India. The paperwork is done. Everyone has signed off on it. Air India's disinvestment process is finally closed. The formalities have ended today and they've been completed. Huge milestone. Air India board has resigned after the takeover. So the Maharaja is basically Tata now. Now, look, there's a new look for Air India that's going to be on the cards. Will that old look be disappearing? The Tatas are back in the cockpit of Air India after 69 years, to be precise. They made a winning bid, remember, of 18,000 crore rupees for Air India back in October 2021. They've won it, and it's full circle for the Tata Group. They're back in the cockpit of Air India. Over 69 years after it was nationalized by the government of the day, Air India is back where it belonged originally. Founded as Tata Airlines in October 1932 and nationalized in 1953, the cash-strapped airline is now back with the industrial group that brought it to life, the Tatas.
The Maharaja is returning home to the Bombay House. After 69 long years of being nationalized and grounded into a pale shadow of its glorious past by a mix of politicians and bureaucrats, Air India is now back with the Tatas.
Well, the formalities have been completed. The Air India disinvestment transaction is closed. The shares have been transferred to the Talace, which is a successful bidder. Consideration amount has been received. And so now the new owners are the Talace.
We are totally delighted that this process is complete. Very happy to have Air India back in the Tata Group.
After years of flying with heavy losses, a bloated workforce and continuous interference by government servants and politicians who preyed on its first-class seats, Narendra Modi government has succeeded in doing what was considered impossible. Even Arun Shourie, the die-hard prophet of privatisation, who undertook the largest privatisation drive in India's history under Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, may not have dreamt of how the return the controls to Bombay House would happen. Modi's determination to get the government out of the business of flying civil aviation is what is behind the sale. Also behind the sale is the 84-year-old patriarch of the group, Ratan Tata, and his determination to reclaim JRD Tata's legacy. This is what drove India's largest conglomerate, the $310 billion Tata Group, to take control of an airline that was largely flying on the fumes of taxpayer-funded indulgence. Tata Group Chairman Emeritus Ratan Tata had shared an emotional message on social media immediately after the group had won the bid to take back the reins of Air India. Sharing an old photograph of JRD Tata stepping down from an Air India aircraft, Ratan Tata had written, "Welcome back, Air India," adding that former chairman JRD Tata would have been overjoyed if he were here today. So even as the formalities of the takeover are underway, a new board will be constituted soon, replacing the outgoing government-appointed one. The Tatas are likely to appoint a veteran aviation industry expert as the CEO. The merger of Air India Express and AirAsia India is also set to commence next week. The Tatas, who are partners with Singapore Airlines in Vistara, have made a fresh multi-year blueprint to restore the lost glory of the Maharaja. Big ticket changes like fleet and cabin upgrade will take time, but the initial focus would be on improving an on-time performance, better meals, and a more customer-friendly approach. Bureau Report, India Today.
So So obviously the questions that are on every passenger's lips when they welcome this wonderful news. It's incredible, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Think about it. Did you ever think it would happen? Year after year you heard about, how Air India needed to be disinvested and that it needed to be privatized. It's finally happened after all these decades. Absolutely incredible. Now here's a list, and I'm sure you're very curious about the in-flight changes to the Maharaja that's going to happen as part of this makeover, because the Tatas obviously are not going to simply, make people fly in the same aircraft and airline experience. Here's the difference. The meals are going to be upgraded on priority by Taj. Taj is also owned by the Tatas. It's going to be on select routes. Beverage services across classes before meals. Special massage, a special message by a special audio message by Ratan Tata is going to be introduced on each of these aircraft. There will be highball wine glasses in first class and in business class. There will be porcelain cups in business class, melamine crockery and cups in economy class. So, everything just becomes a little more upscale, obviously. There will be blankets and pillows that will be made available to economy class passengers as well. Passengers will be addressed as guests. They'll be made to feel at home. It won't be the usual sort of experience that people have come to expect perhaps by Air India, even though there have been many, many good reviews as well. Proposed, punctuality. The punctuality is going to be a buzzword as far as Air India is concerned for takeoff and landing under the Tatas. But here are some big questions that are also being asked, because 18,000 crores is a fat sum of money that has been paid for Air India. It's finally with the Tatas. Can the Tatas turn around this financially strapped airline? Will the Tatas slash ticket prices? Can the Tatas give Air India a much needed facelift as is being proposed? Will the Tatas shuffle the current leadership to bring in more industry players? Will the Tatas clear pending arrears of pilots and employees, which is something that they've been thinking about for a very, very long time? So all of these questions, for both passengers as well as employees of Air India are going to be in the air for quite a while now. Sakshi Batra of Business Today, who's been on the front line of this very exciting story, joins me. Sakshi, good to see you. Very, very interesting day. I certainly didn't believe I'd, ever see this day. I actually started my career as a financial journalist, and I remember tracking all the buzz over, whether Air India could ever be privatized. So there's a sense of disbelief that the handover has happened. The kagas has been signed, the paperwork has been signed, the disinvestment file has been closed. But the question that everybody is going to be asking is, kaise dikhega? What's it going to look like? What's the experience going to look like? And more importantly, Sakshi, by when will we see the new Air India?
Absolutely. Well, I have no answers to the questions that you are asking me. How is it going to be looking like, and by when do we see that? All eyes and ears onto that. Nothing has been made clear. It has been all under the covers so far from Tatas. But it is only fair. It has just happened, and it is going to be a big bang affair for them to be taking over the reins of Air India once again after 69 years. We could only see what it really means for Ratan Tata to be getting Air India under the Tata Group back again, because on October 8, when it was finally sold off to Talace, Ratan Tata immediately wrote a message on Twitter, and he said that JRD Tata who was the former chairman of Tata Group. He would have been overjoyed to see this happen if he was alive. He only said, "Welcome back, Air India." That was the word that he actually mentioned right on October 8. So it actually means a lot for the Tatas. Of course, what we all as consumers, as flyers, would be looking out for would be a world-class airline, just like how N. Chandrasekaran first talked about today, right after the deal he signed. Today he met the Prime Minister. After that, all the papers were signed up, and the first thing that he said was that we are delighted to have Air India back to our stable, and now we want to make it into a world-class airline. So whether at all there will be, no comparison with the other Indian airlines that exist. And also remember, Tatas are, this is not the only airline where Tatas have a position. There is a Vistara, there is an AirAsia. They already hold some positions right there, but this is going to be absolutely special. Also because this has been a crown of the Indian airlines for a long time, and now it comes back to the Tatas. We will be looking at how the in-flight meals will be changed, and on-time flight. That is something that has been, disappointment so far for all the flyers of Air India, but at least all of those concerns perhaps will now be taken care of. 10 minutes before the flight has to take off, the doors will be shut. That is what we are getting to hear, that is exactly what their focus is going to be. They want to, bring back the glory to the Maharaja. That is what we understand.
Glory to the Maharaja. It's going to require a mindset change, completely a culture change, because, Air India has been in the doldrums for so long. It has really just taken its customers for granted in many ways. Even though there have been quite some improvements in the recent years, in general, it became a Sarkari airline with Sarkari culture. And I don't think only Air India is to blame for that. Sakshi, thanks for putting that into perspective for us. We certainly look forward to the Naya Air India taking wing very soon under its new owners, the Tatas, who've taken over starting today. Well, even before that actually happened, though, controversy number one has already erupted over Air India's new weight check run. You heard me right. According to a new company circular, every cabin crew member must pass through a body mass index check every single month to check their health and fitness. But why would you think this should form any kind of a controversy? Take a look.
Air stewards and stewardesses have long abided by the strictest of uniform codes, from their hair to their clothes to even the shoes that they wear. And now add constant weight checks to that list. That's right. Air India has conveyed to its cabin crew that they will now be subject to body mass index, which is BMI, and weight checks on a quarterly basis by grooming assistants, a move that has not gone down well with the employees. The order passed on 20th of January also stated that cabin crew who are well-dressed, groomed according to uniform standards and regulations present a positive and professional image of the airline. In a strongly worded letter, Air India's cabin crew union objected to the new company circular to the airline's in-flight services department. The union has cited that they have been undergoing BMI and weight checks from 2008 as per the civil aviation requirements issued by the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, and that these checks were conducted only by medical professionals or doctors and not grooming assistants. The cabin crew have even highlighted that the new requirement could disturb cabin crew members mentally ahead of their flights. The Tata takeover of Air India has kicked off on a stormy note, as cabin crew employees have made it clear that they will oppose the new weight check rule.
While the airline prepares itself for a formal handover to its new owners in a couple of days, the cabin crew unions are challenging any change in service terms, especially because the government assured all Air India employees status quo for 1 year. So it remains to be seen if the circular in question is eventually withdrawn or not. With camera person Deepak Bisht, Paulami Saha in Delhi for India Today.
Well, the journey of Air India has come full circle. After 69 years, Air India is in the hands of the Tata, founded by JRD Tata. The airline was known as Tata Airlines when it came into being in 1932. It's since seen a change of name several times as the private company was nationalized in 1953. Here's the full timeline, and you must know this story. Take a look.
An air of nostalgia in India. Air India. In 1932, Air India, then known as Tata Air Services, took its first flight. This iconic first flight was piloted by none other than Jahangir Ratanji Dadabhoy Tata himself. An aviator and businessman, he founded the airline with 2 lakh rupees. Sir Dorabji Tata, the then chairman of Tata Sons, gave this money to JRD rather reluctantly. But JRD did not disappoint. He held his passion venture close to his heart and transformed it into a full-fledged business, growing it from a night airmail service to a leading commercial carrier. Eventually, it got known as Air India and Air India International. 1940 1946, the aviation division of Tata Sons was listed as Air India. 1948, Air India International took off with flights to Europe. The international service was amongst the first public-private partnerships in India. The government held 49% stake, the Tatas 25%, and the public owned the rest. In 1953, Air India was nationalized. It was only in 2001 that the NDA government first attempted to divest the airline, rather unsuccessfully. The privatization plans were shelved in the year 2004 as the UPA-1 government took over. It was only in 2017 Air India privatization plans received an approval from the centre after mounting debt of over 50,000 crore rupees for the national carrier. In the year 2018, despite an expression of interest of 76% stake sale in Air India, no bids were received for the financially ailing airline. It was only in 2020, the year of the COVID pandemic, that the government listed Air India again for divestment, offering 100% stake sale this time around. Tata Group was amongst the multiple entries that put an initial expression of interest, or EOI, to buy the Maharaja. And in 2021, Tata Sons won the final bid for acquiring Air India. A landmark moment in Indian economic history and the start of the end of nationalization of the airline. The crown jewel of aviation has returned home to the Tatas full circle. In New Delhi, Chaiti Marula, India Today.
And here's wishing very happy landings to the brand new airline. We'll be looking forward, asking the questions and tracking that flight path. That's a wrap on 5 Live. Thanks for watching.